welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be using this Echo Park Magical Birthday Boy paper pad to create an explosion box. You may have seen that I used this pad to create 12 quick and simple cards a little while ago. I'll link to that video below, but this one I thought would make a real special explosion box. So I'll just quickly show you the paper pack so that you know what's in it. So we've got these cut apart pieces, we've got these smaller panels, we've got this really cool background, we've got the tags, we've got these circles, we've got these which are great for square cards. Love this balloons background. Love the party hats on here. And we've got these cool cakes. And then we've got the castles. So for my base, I've got a 6.5 by 9 inch piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to score that at 3 inches and at 6 inches on the long side, and then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 3.5 inches. And I'm going to use this to show you a way to still make a 3-inch square explosion box even if you don't have a piece of cardstock that's 9 inch square, because I think a lot of us use either 8.5 by 11 or A4 cardstock, and so you can't get that 9 inch width out of that. So I'm just going to cut these 2 big squares from each of the corners. That's that one. Then I'm going to take off this piece here. So on this tab I'm only going to leave the centre piece. So I'm going to cut that into that corner there. And then here I'm going to cut along here. And I'm going to cut here. So if you do have a piece of cardstock that is big enough to get a 9 inch square out of it, then you just score it at 3 inches and 6 inches on each side, and you'll get the piece that you need for the box. But for today, where we've not got that, I'm going to add some double-sided tape onto this flap that we created, and then I'm going to use one of these squares that we cut out of here, and I'm going to pop that on there. So then I can just fold all my other sides in. And then that is the base of my explosion box, and we'll cover this over in a minute so you won't see that join. So then we need to make a lid. So I've got a 6 inch square lid, and I'm just going to pull it just a small bit from the side, and then I'm going to score it at 3/4 inch and 1.5 inches on each side. So each side I'm pulling it away from the side a little bit, then I'm scoring it at 3/4 inch and 1.5 inches. So then for the lid, we're going to fold on along all of the score lines, and then I'm going to cut like this out off the corner. So I'm going to cut right up this large square, so we've got a large square flap. Then I'm going to cut this end off. Then I'm going to cut this corner square off. And that leaves me with this small square flap. And I'm just going to cut little triangles off either side of that square flap. And that helps it go together better. Now it doesn't matter if your flap gets cut up that side or that side, just as long as it only gets cut up one side. So don't worry about which way round it goes, you just need to cut all the way up that side, cut the bottom off, cut this square off, and then you're left with this flap, and you can just trim the triangles off. And we need to do that on all 4 corners. And then along each of these side bits, I'm just going to take a triangle off just down to that first score line as well. So then I'm going to add some tape to these small flaps. So that's the base, and we can fold it up and pop the lid on. So this will kind of fold out and we'll decorate all the inside. Before we do that, I want to make another little box that will go inside. So this will be the one that if you want to pop a gift in or anything like that, then that could go in here. So this is a 7.5 square piece of cardstock, and I'm going to score that at 2.5 inches and 5 inches on each side. And then I've got this smaller piece that's 4.5 inches square, and I'm going to create a lid out of this. So I'm just going to again pop it just slightly away from the side, and then I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. And I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. So it's going to come slightly away from the side, and I'm going to score it at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And the reason that we put it slightly away from the side is so that this piece in the middle is slightly bigger than 2.5 inches square, so that it fits on properly when we've made the box. So let's make the lid first, because we've just made one similar to this, so you'll know what to do. So it's exactly the same as the lid for the top. So we're folding all of those lines, and then I'm going to cut down that side, and then I'm going to cut all these pieces off. So again, I'm cutting down this side, then I'm cutting off this end bit, and then I'm cutting off this little square. And again, I'm just going to trim a little triangle from each side of this little flap that we've created. The measurements are smaller on this one, so it is a little bit more delicate, but it's still fine. And then I'm just going to cut a little triangle off each side of these flaps again, just like we did on the other one. And then I'm going to just add a little bit of tape to each of these pieces. And then I'm just matching the sides up to create that lid. So now I've got my tape on all the flaps, so I can stick the flaps down. And these flaps do 2 jobs. Number one, they reinforce the lid so it makes it stronger. And the other thing is that they hide those little tabs, and so it makes it look neater as well. So then let's make the base of that box. So we're going to fold all the score lines. And this time in each of these corners we're going to cut about 1 centimetre away from each of these lines, and then we're going to cut across the other line in each corner. And it doesn't matter which one you cut down and which one you cut 1 centimetre away from, just so long as you've got a flap in each corner. And again, I'm going to just take a little triangle off either side of that flap. So you want a flap in each corner, so you want to cut about 1 centimetre away from the line, then you want to cut down the line, and then you want to cut triangles off the flaps. And again, those triangles are just going to make sure we've got nice clean lines and our box is really square. And we're going to do that in all the corners again. So then I'm going to pop some tape onto each of these flaps, and you want it right next to the score line, just to make sure it's really nicely stuck together. And then we're going to just match each flap up with the side of the box that's next to it. And then this just fits on like that. So then that will go in the middle of our box. So that will go like there. And then when you take it off, the sides will come down and you'll have the box in the middle. So now let's move on to some decorating. So this is the bottom of our box. I'm going to use some of these pieces with the castles on for the outside of our box. And you want to make sure that the castles, or whatever it is you're using, the direction is going away from the middle, because that is going to be up. So I want mine to go like that. Then those will go up like that, and you can see that all the castles then are the right way up. And all of those squares, by the way, are 2 3/4 inches square. And then for the lid, I've got this piece of party hats paper. I'm going to glue that on. This one is 3 inches square. So then I've got this that I've fussy cut from the pack, and I've fussy cut these out as well. And I'm just going to glue these little kind of rosette things onto the back of here. And then I'm going to add some foam pads onto the back of there. So that's the lid for that then. Then let's go ahead and decorate the inside of this. So then for this I've got 4 2 3/4 inch pieces of this paper that has the party hats on it. And I actually think that most people will just view this like this kind of open, so I'm going to have them all facing kind of this way. And then I've got some more pieces that I have cut from the pack, and I pop them on with some foam pads. And you could go like as wild or as pared back with this decoration as you wanted. So that's that. And then I also want to decorate the top of this box. So again, these are all things that I've cut out of the paper pack. So I'm just going to add those on. And I think I'll pop these other 2 pieces up on foam pads. And again, you could cover the sides of this and things. I've decided to leave that black. I quite like that look, but you could go completely all out with this. So I'm just going to tape this into the centre of my explosion box so that it stays in place. And obviously you could use this for small gifts, you could use it to put money in, you could use it for all sorts of things. I actually think this is a really fun way of giving money, because I think that if you just give a card and someone knows you're giving a present, then they know they've got money. But if you give this, they've probably not really got much of an idea of what's inside. So we've got our cool box, and we take off our lid and it explodes, and then you've got this box to add your little gift in. So how cool is that? And there are so many different ways you could decorate it. You could put pictures inside, you could put little messages inside. So I really hope that you've enjoyed today's project. If you have, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below, and you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. You can find a link to the paper pack, if you're interested in that, in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.